Life can change in an instant. One moment, everything seems perfect, and the next, everything is shattered. But what happens when you find yourself at the lowest point of your life? Can you rise above the pain? Can you transform the darkest moments into something powerful? This is the story of Alex, an ordinary man who faced the ultimate betrayal and heartbreak. His world was turned upside down, and everything he thought he knew was ripped away. But through sheer will and determination, Alex fought his way back. In this journey, we'll dive deep into the challenges of love, loss, and redemption. We'll follow Alex as he navigates a path of betrayal, pain, and, ultimately, personal growth. It's a story of resilience, strength, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his daughter. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and join us on a transformative journey that proves no matter how hard life hits, you always have the power to rise again. Alex Reynolds, a high school teacher, stayed late one evening at his desk, grading papers. As the clock ticked past midnight, he glanced at his wife Olivia's laptop, open on the desk. An unexpected message popped up, something that caught his eye. It was from her brother, James, and the conversation seemed off. Curious, Alex checked the chat history. His heart raced as he scrolled through private messages, each more incriminating than the last. The messages weren't just innocent conversations, they were flirtatious, secretive, and full of inside jokes. Pictures. References to late-night meetups. Alex's gut twisted. He continued digging, finding more evidence, pictures of James and Olivia together, intimate messages, even details about money that Alex had never been told about. The shock was overwhelming, but it was just the beginning. The affair, it seemed, had been going on for years. The next evening, after dinner, Alex confronted Olivia in the living room, holding up his phone with screenshots of the conversation. Her face went pale as she stammered, trying to explain. Alex, I'm so sorry. It's been going on for 6 years. I never wanted you to find out this way. But James and we've been involved for so long. Anne. She hesitated. Emily, our daughter, she might not be yours. I thought you had a right to know. The words hit Alex like a freight train. Not only had his wife betrayed him emotionally and physically, but now his whole world, his family, was in question. He sat frozen, barely hearing her as she continued her apology, until one thought pierced his mind. This wasn't over. Not yet. In the days that followed, Alex took a step back and began researching his options. He studied divorce law, making sure he knew exactly what his rights were. He hired a private investigator to gather more evidence. There were more secrets he needed to uncover. Every conversation, every betrayal, would be documented. He began taking steps to secure his finances, separating his accounts from Olivia's and shifting his savings into his own personal fund. He knew what he needed to do next. It was time for the world to know the truth, but only when the moment was right. As Alex prepared for what would come, he began constructing an image for himself, a man wronged, a pillar of the community. He became involved in various activities, showing up at charity events, volunteering for local initiatives, and making sure his colleagues saw the kind of man he truly was. He joined a history club at school, becoming a beloved teacher and a model husband to everyone who knew him, at least, that's what they thought. Meanwhile, he carefully planted seeds of doubt among friends and family. Subtle hints about Olivia's unfaithfulness were dropped in conversations, leaving people wondering. He didn't need to say much, but over time, the whispers began. The community was starting to question the image of the perfect couple they had always seen. Alex knew that James had to pay for his role in this. So, Alex took a different approach. He anonymously sent financial records to the authorities showing James's involvement in shady investments and fraudulent business deals. Within days, James was under investigation by the IRS for embezzlement, facing potential legal action that could ruin his career and reputation. But Alex didn't stop there. He reached out to James, pretending to offer support in his time of trouble. They met on several occasions, with Alex pretending to sympathize and offer advice. All the while, he was collecting information, getting James to confess in private meetings about the affair and their involvement in hiding their relationship from Alex. It was Alex's 10-year wedding anniversary, and he knew this was the moment to expose everything. He invited friends, family, and co-workers to a party at their house, under the pretense of celebrating their marriage. But the night would turn into something entirely different. As the guests mingled and drinks were served, Alex took the stage. He pulled up images, text messages, and bank statements on the projector, each piece of evidence pointing directly to Olivia and James's years-long affair. The shock was palpable. The final blow came when Alex revealed the DNA test results that showed Emily wasn't his daughter. The room went silent as Olivia stood frozen, her face flushed with humiliation. In front of their loved ones, Alex calmly announced his decision to divorce Olivia. The affair was no longer a secret, and their marriage was over. The truth was out. Olivia and James, once the couple everyone envied, were now the subjects of ridicule and scorn. The fallout was swift and brutal. Olivia lost her friends, her reputation, and, most importantly, her financial security. Alex's meticulous planning paid off as the assets she had shared with him were now in his possession. Olivia was left with nothing but a mountain of debt from bad investments, many of which Alex had quietly documented beforehand. Meanwhile, James faced criminal charges for fraud. His career was ruined, his clients were pulling out, and the public scandal made it impossible for him to recover. The once popular businessman was now the subject of investigations, with his life falling apart as fast as Alex's was coming together. In the aftermath, Alex emerged victorious. Not only had he secured the divorce settlement, but he also gained full custody of Emily, who, though not his biological child, was still his in every way that mattered. He had rebuilt his life from the ashes of betrayal, and his heart, though scarred, was finally free. Alex moved to a new city, leaving behind the memories of Olivia and James. He started fresh, taking up a new job at a prestigious university and beginning work on a book about overcoming betrayal and rebuilding one's life from nothing. His experiences, painful as they were, had shaped him into someone stronger and wiser. The book became a bestseller, and Alex's journey of triumph over adversity resonated with people around the world. He had turned the pain of betrayal into a new career, finding purpose and fulfillment in ways he had never imagined. As he looked out over the city, Alex knew that the past was finally behind him. His story wasn't over, but it was just beginning. As the months passed, Alex's life slowly returned to a sense of normalcy, but not without some challenges. The fallout from his marriage, the divorce, and his public exposure of Olivia and James had left deep scars, not just on them, but on Alex himself. The people closest to him, including friends and family, had watched the drama unfold from the sidelines. Some offered support, while others distanced themselves, unsure of how to respond. Alex's relationship with Emily, however, only grew stronger. Though the DNA results had shown that she was not his biological daughter, she was his in every other sense. He had raised her, loved her, and she, in turn, had always seen him as her father. They began to rebuild their lives together, taking one step at a time, and Alex became even more determined to be the father she needed. But there were moments, late at night, when the weight of the betrayal would settle on him. He found himself reflecting on how he'd let things spiral to this point. Olivia's infidelity had shattered him, but it also forced him to reassess everything about his life, his values, his ambitions, and even his sense of self-worth. The more Alex learned about himself through his pain, the more he realized just how far he'd come. In the aftermath of his book's success, Alex received a wave of messages from people who had gone through similar experiences, people who had lost loved ones, been betrayed by those they trusted most, and had to start over. Many had been inspired by his story, by how he had taken his heartbreak and turned it into something productive and meaningful. One evening, Alex received an invitation to speak at a conference for those who had experienced trauma and betrayal. It was an opportunity to share his story in person, to speak not just of the pain but of the healing that followed. The idea of speaking in front of a crowd seemed daunting at first, but something within Alex told him it was the next step in his journey. At the conference, Alex stood before an audience of strangers, their faces full of expectation. He shared his journey, how betrayal had nearly destroyed him, but how he had rebuilt himself and found strength in the very thing that was meant to break him. He spoke of Emily, of the lessons learned in the aftermath of his marriage's collapse, and of how important it was to let go of what wasn't serving him anymore. As he spoke, he realized something profound. His life was no longer defined by Olivia, by James, or by the shattered pieces of his past. It was defined by the choices he made now, by the relationships he built, and by the way he chose to move forward. And that realization filled him with peace. At the conference, Alex met a woman named Laura. She was an author, a speaker, and someone who had experienced her own form of betrayal. They struck up a conversation over coffee, and over time, they became close. Laura's story resonated with Alex's own, and the two found comfort in each other's company. It wasn't an immediate romance, it was more about healing, understanding, and shared experiences. Laura had her own scars, but she also had a wisdom about life that Alex admired. Together, they explored the idea of building something new, a partnership grounded in mutual respect, honesty, and a shared passion for helping others heal. But Alex wasn't rushing into anything. He had learned from his past mistakes. His heart had been broken once, and now, he was carefully piecing it back together. This time, he wasn't going to be swept away by emotions or illusions. This time, he would take things slow, building a foundation that was strong and unshakable. As part of his emotional growth, Alex made a decision to finally meet with Olivia again. After the divorce, their communication had been minimal, mostly centered around logistics and co-parenting Emily. But now, Alex felt it was time to address the elephant in the room, to get closure. They met at a quiet cafe, a neutral space where neither of them had memories tied to their former life together. Olivia looked different, older, more tired, the weight of everything that had happened visible in her eyes. She apologized again for everything, for the affair, for the lies, for the way she had torn their family apart. Alex listened quietly, but inside, he felt no anger. The bitterness had faded over time, replaced by something like indifference. He realized that the anger he once felt had only weighed him down. By forgiving her, not because she deserved it, but because he needed to free himself, he was finally able to let go of the past. Olivia, Alex said quietly, I've let go of the hurt. I've let go of you. And I'm okay. Months turned into a year, and Alex's life continued to evolve. He published a second book, this one a deeper dive into the healing process after betrayal, offering advice and guidance to others who found themselves in similar situations. The book was another success, and Alex found a new passion for speaking at workshops and conferences about resilience, recovery, and personal growth. Through all of this, Emily grew older and more independent. She was excelling in school, and Alex found himself more involved in her life than ever. They had created a new normal, one where love and support were the foundations of their home. It wasn't perfect, but it was theirs, and that was enough. As Alex looked toward the future, he realized there was no real end to his journey. There would always be challenges, always be moments of doubt, but he had learned how to face them head-on. He had learned that even when everything seemed lost, there was always room for new beginnings. His story wasn't one of victimhood, it was a story of survival, of thriving despite the odds. As Alex sat on a park bench one afternoon, watching the sunset, he reflected on everything that had brought him to this point, the betrayal, the pain, the heartache, and ultimately, the healing. He knew that there would always be shadows of the past lurking around the corners of his life. But they no longer defined him. He was the sum of his choices, his growth, and his journey forward. Life doesn't stop, Alex thought to himself, it just keeps going. And so will I. With that, he stood, ready to take the next step into his future, knowing that whatever came next, he would face it with strength, wisdom, and a renewed sense of purpose. Months passed, and Alex's life seemed to settle into a rhythm. He had established a successful career as an author, speaker, and mentor to those recovering from betrayal. But something still felt incomplete. He'd helped so many others find healing, yet there was a part of him that yearned for something more, a deeper connection, a more personal legacy. One evening, after wrapping up another successful seminar, Alex was approached by a young man named Jason. Jason had attended one of his workshops and shared that he'd been struggling to rebuild his life after finding out his girlfriend had cheated on him with his best friend. Jason's pain mirrored Alex's own, and he was clearly in the throes of heartbreak and confusion. "I don't know what to do, Alex. I feel like I'm stuck in this place of rage and regret," Jason admitted, his voice cracking. Alex took a moment, reflecting on how he had felt all those months ago. "You're not alone in this," Alex said softly. "I've been there. I know the pain. But you don't have to stay stuck. You have to decide, do you want to stay in the past, or do you want to move forward?" Jason's eyes welled with tears, but there was something in Alex's words that clicked. Over the next few months, Alex began mentoring Jason, meeting him for coffee, offering advice, and guiding him through his recovery. Alex knew that helping someone in such an intimate, personal way was an opportunity to live out his own healing journey, helping others reclaim their lives. Just when Alex felt he was starting to truly move on, the past came knocking once again. Olivia reached out, asking to meet. Alex was hesitant. He hadn't spoken to her in over a year, and the wounds had faded, but they hadn't completely healed. He didn't know if seeing her again was something he was ready for. After some thought, Alex agreed to meet at a local coffee shop. Olivia arrived looking tired, worn by the years of difficulty that followed the fallout. She apologized again, but this time, her apology carried a deeper sincerity. She had changed, she said. She had spent the past year doing a lot of soul-searching, going to therapy, and trying to understand the depth of the damage she had caused. "I don't expect anything from you, Alex," Olivia said quietly, looking down at her hands. "I just wanted to apologize. I wanted to acknowledge the pain I caused you and the hurt I brought to our family. I can never undo it, but I hope you know that I regret it every single day." For the first time in a long time, Alex felt no anger, no bitterness. The Olivia he had known was gone, and the woman before him was someone who had suffered, learned, and changed. Alex wasn't sure if they could ever repair their relationship, but he knew that the moment of closure was significant, not just for Olivia, but for himself. "I appreciate you saying that," Alex said after a pause. "And I've come to terms with everything. We can't change the past, but we can choose how we move forward. And for me, that means living in the present." They parted ways with a sense of mutual respect, and Alex realized that part of his healing had been forgiving Olivia, not just in words, but in his heart. Over time, Alex's relationship with Laura deepened. Their shared experiences, mutual respect, and understanding formed a strong bond. Though Alex was cautious, not wanting to rush into anything too quickly, he found himself drawn to Laura's warmth, kindness, and wisdom. One evening, after a long walk through the park, they sat on a bench together, the city lights twinkling in the distance. Alex looked at Laura and realized that he had come to care for her deeply, in a way that felt completely different from his past relationships. It wasn't about healing from pain, it was about building something new, something healthy. "I'm scared," Alex confessed, his voice soft. "I've been through so much, and I don't want to bring old baggage into something new. I'm afraid of repeating my mistakes." Laura reached out, taking his hand in hers. "I understand, Alex. But what we have, what we're building, is different. You don't have to be afraid of love. You just have to be willing to trust again, both in yourself and in me." It was in that moment that Alex knew he was ready to let go of the fear and embrace the possibility of a future with Laura. The past didn't have to define him, and it didn't have to be a shadow over everything he built going forward. Years went by, and Alex's life blossomed in unexpected ways. He became a renowned speaker and author, known not only for his books but for his genuine, relatable approach to helping others navigate difficult times. His personal growth became his greatest asset as he touched lives around the world. Alex also began a non-profit organization dedicated to supporting people who had been betrayed or were struggling with toxic relationships. He worked tirelessly, using his story as a catalyst for change. His impact was far-reaching, touching individuals, families, and communities, offering them hope when they thought there was none. With Laura by his side, Alex found not just success, but fulfillment. They traveled together, spoke at events, and made a difference wherever they went. Emily, now a young adult, was thriving. Alex had successfully built a life that was based on love, trust, and authenticity, everything that his previous marriage had lacked. But even as he continued to build a future, Alex knew that life was unpredictable. It was full of challenges, yes, but also infinite possibilities. Each day was a new chance to grow, to evolve, and to create something meaningful out of the struggles he'd faced. One quiet afternoon, Alex sat in the same park where he had once reflected on the pain of betrayal. Now, as he watched the world go by, he realized that he had truly come full circle. The man who had once been broken by betrayal had become someone strong, someone who had taken his pain and transformed it into power. He thought about the people who had reached out to him over the years, those who had been where he was, who had walked through the fire of betrayal and come out on the other side stronger. They had found their own redemption, just as he had. And Alex knew that in some way, his journey had made a difference in their lives. "I didn't just survive," Alex whispered to himself, a sense of peace settling over him. "I thrived." With a contented smile, he stood up, ready to continue his journey, knowing that no matter what the future held, he had the strength to face it head-on. Life, as Alex had come to realize, was never a linear path. Just as he had found a balance between healing, career success, and personal fulfillment, a new set of challenges emerged that tested everything he had built. It started with a phone call one early morning from his lawyer. There had been new developments regarding his divorce settlement with Olivia. The legal battle that he had thought was long settled was far from over. Olivia had hired a new attorney who was aggressive and skilled, aiming to reopen old wounds and challenge the custody arrangement. She had grown resentful over the years of losing Emily full-time and was now seeking joint custody, using Alex's success and newfound stability against him. Alex was shocked. For a moment, he felt as if his world was crashing down again. He had been so focused on his own growth that he had neglected the fact that Olivia's resentment still simmered beneath the surface. The idea of revisiting the past, of defending his role as Emily's father, felt like stepping back into a nightmare. But Alex quickly realized that he had learned to face conflict head-on. He took a deep breath, reached out to his lawyer, and prepared for what would surely be a long and emotionally exhausting fight. This new battle wasn't just about winning a case, it was about protecting the life he had built for himself and his daughter. It was about maintaining the relationship that had become the cornerstone of his healing. As the custody battle heated up, Alex threw himself into his work and his relationship with Emily. They spent even more time together, going on weekend trips, attending school events, and having long, heart-to-heart conversations. Alex knew that his bond with Emily was unbreakable. She was not just his daughter by chance, she was his daughter in every sense of the word. While the legal proceedings dragged on, Alex's focus never wavered from Emily's well-being. He remained calm, even when Olivia's accusations grew more unfounded and spiteful. Alex was determined to show the court, and the world, that he was the better parent, not because he was perfect, but because he was present, reliable, and devoted. Throughout this ordeal, Laura remained his steady support. She encouraged him to stay true to himself, not to get caught up in the chaos that Olivia was trying to create. Laura's calm, grounded approach was exactly what Alex needed to remind him that the legal system could be complicated, but the truth would always prevail. Alex was able to gather a team of people who testified to his character, friends, colleagues, and even people he had mentored over the years. Their support painted a picture of the man he had become. It wasn't just about being a good father, it was about the emotional work he had done to transform from a man devastated by betrayal into a strong, compassionate, and grounded individual. Months passed, and finally, the court hearing arrived. Alex entered the courtroom with a sense of quiet confidence, knowing that the truth was on his side. But even more than that, he entered with the knowledge that his journey wasn't defined by the outcome of this case, it was defined by how far he had come, how much he had grown, and how much he had fought for what truly mattered in his life. The judge ruled in his favor, granting him full custody of Emily. Olivia, disheveled and beaten by the legal system, was granted limited visitation. It was a victory, but it didn't feel like the end of the war, it felt like the beginning of a new chapter for Alex, Emily, and everyone who had been touched by their journey. As Alex walked out of the courtroom with Emily by his side, he realized that everything he had gone through, the heartache, the betrayal, the grief, had led him to this moment. He hadn't just won a legal battle, he had reclaimed his life. He had come out the other side stronger, with his daughter in his arms, ready to face whatever life had in store for him next. With the custody battle behind him, Alex took some time to reflect on the lessons he had learned over the years. He realized that forgiveness was not a destination, but a process he had only recently come to fully understand. It wasn't about letting people off the hook, it was about freeing himself from the chains of resentment. He decided to reach out to those he had lost touch with, his estranged family members, old friends, and even a few individuals who had hurt him in the past. It wasn't for them, it was for him. Alex knew that in order to fully step into his next chapter, he needed to make peace with the ghosts of his past. He started with a phone call to his mother. Their relationship had been strained for years, especially during his marriage to Olivia. But now, Alex knew he had to make amends. The conversation was difficult, filled with silences and painful admissions, but in the end, it was healing. It wasn't about erasing the past, it was about acknowledging it, learning from it, and moving forward. Over the next few months, Alex reconnected with many people. Some relationships were rekindled, while others remained broken. But in every instance, Alex felt lighter, more whole. Forgiveness, he realized, was not for others. It was for himself. In the years that followed, Alex's influence grew, but so did his sense of purpose. He wanted to leave a lasting legacy, not just through his books or his nonprofit, but through his direct impact on the younger generation. He began mentoring troubled youth, helping them navigate difficult situations and make better choices. He used his personal story as a tool for transformation, showing them that no matter how deep the pain, there was always a way out. Alex also started a scholarship fund for young adults who had been through betrayal, providing them with the resources to pursue their dreams, no matter what had happened to them in the past. His work with at-risk youth helped him find a deeper sense of meaning in his life, as he witnessed the growth and recovery of countless individuals who, like him, had endured hardship. One evening, as Alex sat on the porch of his home with Emily, watching the sunset together, he felt a profound sense of gratitude. They were no longer just surviving, they were thriving. They had gone through so much, and yet, they had come out stronger and more connected than ever. He realized that his journey was never about achieving perfection. It was about embracing the pain, learning from it, and using it to fuel the next chapter of his life. He had gone from being a broken man, torn apart by betrayal, to a leader, a mentor, and a father who was proud of the life he had built. Life is full of surprises, Alex thought to himself, smiling at Emily. But as long as we keep moving forward, there's nothing we can't face together. With Emily at his side and Laura in his heart, Alex knew that the journey wasn't over. It would never be over. Life would continue to unfold, bringing new challenges, new growth, and new opportunities. But one thing was certain, Alex was ready for whatever came next. When Alex looked back on his journey, he barely recognized the man he once was. The man devastated by betrayal, loss, and disappointment was no longer there. Instead, he had become someone who embodied growth, resilience, and self-assurance. The old wounds had healed, leaving behind a strong heart and a clear mind. With Emily now growing into a more independent young woman, Alex felt their bond grow deeper. The time they spent together, traveling on weekends, attending school events, and having long heart-to-heart conversations, had strengthened their relationship. Emily was no longer just his daughter by blood, she was his daughter in every sense of the word. She had become a confident young woman with her own aspirations and dreams, and Alex had become her greatest support. Alex's life now radiated balance. His work was thriving, with community development projects and workshops that allowed him to share his experiences and expertise. His public speaking had evolved from lessons about overcoming betrayal to lessons about the power of positive change and persistence in the face of adversity. But even with all his achievements, Alex realized that career success alone didn't define him. The true value he had discovered lay in building genuine relationships and inspiring others. He knew now that it was not about perfection, it was about growing through the challenges, learning, and evolving. One afternoon, while Alex was walking with Laura in the park, he felt a peacefulness that he had never known before. After all the hardship, Laura had brought him a sense of calmness he hadn't expected. He had once believed that love had to be perfect to be worthwhile, but Laura had shown him that love was about respect, care, and mutual understanding. "We've been through a lot, haven't we?" Laura asked, her gaze warm as it met his. Alex smiled. "Yeah. But I think those challenges have made us stronger. Our love isn't about being perfect, but about choosing to be together, despite everything." Laura nodded. She understood, more than anyone else, that love wasn't about avoiding difficulties, it was about facing them together. Their relationship had been built not on idealized perfection but on respect, patience, and shared experiences. They chose to love each other every day, through the highs and the lows. As the end of the year approached, Alex decided to take a trip with Emily and Laura back to the town where he had once faced his darkest moments. They visited the places where Alex had spent many painful hours, both good and bad. It was a journey not just of reflection but of closure, to end an old chapter and create new memories. As they stood by the riverbank, where Alex had once sat alone, broken and lost, he looked at Emily and Laura, the two people he loved most. "We've been through so much," he said. "But more than that, we're here, stronger, and happier. And I know that we'll keep writing our story, no matter what comes next." Emily hugged him tightly, feeling the warmth and security that her father had always provided. "Thank you, Dad, for everything," she whispered. And in that moment, Alex understood that, no matter what the future held, his life had already been shaped by love, resilience, and the relationships he had cultivated along the way. Looking back at everything he had overcome and all that he had achieved, Alex felt a deep sense of pride in the path he had walked. Life had no longer been just a fight to reclaim what was lost, it had become a journey of discovering new values, values born from pain and risen above challenges. He no longer sought perfection. Instead, Alex had found a life filled with meaning, a life not only defined by personal achievements but also by the impact he made on others. His contributions to the community, the mentorship, and the love he shared with Emily and Laura had become the pillars of his legacy. He knew that his journey would never end, not in the way people often imagined. Each day was a new beginning, a chance to continue growing, learning, and creating. And no matter the struggles ahead, Alex believed that he was strong enough to face whatever life brought him. With that belief, Alex stepped forward into the future, ready for whatever came next, because he knew that life, with all its surprises and challenges, always offered a new opportunity for those willing to embrace it. And that's the end of Alex's story. From heartbreak and betrayal to redemption and self-discovery, we've seen how strength, resilience, and love can guide us through the toughest of times. Alex's journey reminds us that even when life knocks us down, there's always a way to rise, rebuild, and start anew. But what do you think? Have you ever faced a moment in your life where everything seemed to fall apart, only to find your own path to healing? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Leave a comment down below and let's start a conversation. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more inspiring journeys, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Thanks for watching, and remember, your story is just as important as anyone else's. Keep pushing forward, because the best chapters are still ahead.